Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today we're going on an amazing underground adventure to a place you might think is super calm, the Great Lakes. We all know the Great Lakes for their huge size, beautiful beaches, and fun boat rides. But did you know that deep beneath these massive lakes the ground is sometimes shaking? It's true, and we're going to become detectives and use special clues from scientists at the USGS, the United States Geological Survey, to find out what's really happening down there. So what exactly is a shake? We call them earthquakes, or seismic activity. Imagine you have two giant puzzle pieces and they're pushing against each other. For a long time, nothing happens. But then, suddenly, one piece slips. That sudden slip sends out waves of energy, and that's what we feel as an earthquake. Our planet is made of these huge puzzle pieces called tectonic plates, and they are always moving, just super slowly. Most big earthquakes happen where these plates crash into each other, like along the coast of California. But wait, the Great Lakes are nowhere near the edge of a tectonic plate. We're right in the middle of a big, stable one called the North American Plate. So why would there be any shaking at all? It's like finding a little puddle in the middle of your living room, far away from the sink or the bathtub. It makes you wonder, where did that come from? That's the mystery scientists at the USGS are trying to solve, and their data gives us some really cool answers. Let's look at the clues. The USGS has super-sensitive listening devices called seismographs buried all over the country. They're like ears for the Earth, and they can hear even the tiniest rumbles that we would never feel. When we look at the map of all the earthquakes the USGS has recorded around the Great Lakes over many years, we see a pattern. It's not a lot of shaking, and the earthquakes are usually very small. So small you'd probably mistake it for a big truck driving by your house. But they are there. So what's causing these little rumbles? The main suspect is something called ancient fault lines. Think of it this way. Millions and millions of years ago, way before the dinosaurs, the land that is now North America was being pushed and pulled and smashed together. This created deep cracks in the rock, like tiny scratches on a dinner plate. We call these cracks faults. Over time, these old faults were buried under miles of new rock and dirt, and they've been sleeping for a very long time. But just because they're old and sleeping doesn't mean they're gone forever. The giant tectonic plate we live on is still being squeezed from the sides, thousands of miles away where it meets other plates. This squeezing puts a tiny bit of pressure on the whole plate, and sometimes that pressure is just enough to wake up one of those ancient sleepy faults. When the fault shifts just a little bit, it lets out a little pop of energy, creating a small earthquake. It's like when you're leaning back in a creaky old chair. It might be fine for a while, but if you shift your weight just right, you hear a little creak or a pop. That's kind of what's happening deep underground. Another really cool clue comes from the last ice age. Thousands of years ago, the entire Great Lakes region was covered by a gigantic sheet of ice, maybe even a mile thick. Can you imagine how heavy that would be? It's like having a stack of cars 100 stories high pressing down on the ground. That immense weight squished the land down. When the ice melted and the water formed the Great Lakes, that incredible weight was lifted. Ever since then, the land has been slowly bouncing back up. This process is called glacial rebound. Think about what happens when you press your finger into a soft piece of foam and then lift it. The foam slowly rises back to its original shape. The same thing is happening to the Earth's crust here, but on a much slower timescale. This slow upward movement can also cause stress on those old hidden faults, making them slip a little and cause those minor tremors that the USGS detects. It's the Earth stretching and yawning after a very long, very cold nap. So, you might be wondering, are these Great Lakes earthquakes dangerous? The great news is, based on everything the USGS data tells us, the answer is no, not really. The vast majority of these seismic events are what we call micro-earthquakes. They are so small that you need those special scientific instruments to even know they happened. Occasionally, there might be one large enough for people to feel. It might rattle your windows or make your dishes clink. It can be a little surprising, but they are very rarely strong enough to cause any damage. For example, back in 2015, there was a magnitude 4.2 earthquake near Kalamazoo, Michigan. Some people felt it, and it made the news because it's so unusual for this area. But even that quake, which was one of the stronger ones recorded in the region, didn't cause any serious problems. The USGS uses this data not to scare us but to understand our planet better. By knowing where these ancient faults are and how they behave, engineers can make sure that important structures like bridges, dams, and tall buildings are built to be extra safe just in case. It's all about being prepared and understanding the world around us and under us. So the next time you're by one of the Great Lakes, think about the incredible story happening miles below your feet. A story of ancient sleeping giants, the memory of a colossal ice sheet, and a land that is still slowly rising toward the sun. The Earth is a living, breathing, and sometimes rumbling planet, even in the most peaceful-looking places. The unseen world beneath the Great Lakes is a reminder that there's always something new and amazing to discover, as long as we keep listening. Thanks so much for joining me on this underground expedition today. I hope you had fun being a geology detective with me. If you enjoyed this video and want to explore more cool science mysteries, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our next adventure. See you next time.